All right. So now I am back to erasing sky away from very similar layers to what we've looked at before and not having any easy way to select them. The quick selection did not work well for me. I do have to say that those alternative selection tools are a little bit better in Photoshop than they are in Photopea. But they're always made to be just really fast and not particularly accurate. So my magic wand is okay. So this is a good place to remind you that you can hold on to shift while you use the magic wand, and you can add to it to get it to be more selected so I have less debris that it's leaving behind. But the problem is it's also selecting things inside the building. So it's understanding your settings. And I'm going to take my pixel feather down maybe to 2, maybe just to 1 because I'm so near the foreground now. And then hold down Shift. And try to get a lot of this. And then instead of hitting delete, I'm going to use it as a mask for a 100% eraser. And it's going to do a quick pass, getting rid of the hard edge on the outside. And even if it leaves some debris, that might get covered up by other layers. So I can hit Command D to deselect. Wow, this is such a high resolution photo. I even have the cord that they use to pull things up from the base, which is a little annoying to have that, but it's in there. And actually, that will do just fine for now. So what's in front of that? Another one. And same thing. Adjustments are going to help this to sit in, so I don't need to be so accurate in how I cut it out. First levels. For those of you working in marketing, learning these adjustment layers, it will make all of the photo assets that you use from your client look better. Right? If you can control the lighting and the color temperature, you can make it work for various projects with whatever type design, with whatever copy, much, much stronger. As long as you learn not to push them too far and lose quality to the asset. So these are very warm photos, so I'm actually going to cool them down even though they're in the foreground. But in the highlights, I'm going to warm them up. In the shadows, I'm going to cool them down. A little too much color in the highlights. So I might need to dodge and brighten some of those, or I can go back to levels and push that a little bit. Push some of the highlights just a little bit so they really come forward. All right, now hue saturation. Always good to play with it at the end. This one I actually think it's kind of interesting to push it the other way. And then just take the saturation down a tiny bit. All right. And the color temperature is not quite right yet, but I'll erase first. So this one looks like it's a little bit closer. So I'm going to use Shift and the contiguous magic wand. Grab all of this background, which I'm sure there's some of it inside as well. Come on, with a 1 pixel feather. And then I'm going to use that soft edge 100% opaque eraser to trim it. And it's leaving those little white, kind of camouflage shaped fragments that weren't selected. Those will be easy enough to take care of. I'm really worried about the sides on the forest, on the cliffs. And that's selecting nicely. Okay, now deselect. And now I can get that stuff that's in the sky, as long as I don't accidentally erase into my mountaintop, which I just did. The other thing, I can just lasso this debris in the sky and delete it. Okay, so its color is still a little too green. The greens are helping it to come forward, but I don't like how yellow the greens are, so I'm going to shift its color balance, push it away from green, more towards the magentas. And the shadows, I'm actually going to bring warmth back into. Kind of squinting, kind of seeing what helps it all sit together. All right. Okay, now I have that rock, and I still have those rocks. What do I really need? I don't really need this rock. In fact, I think it flattens things out a little bit. So I'm just going to leave that one off. Don't need to delete it. Maybe I'll use it in another aspect of this assignment. And then these rocks, pretty good, but I'm going to select the empty space above them. There we go. With that feather, and then just delete with that feather a little bit so it softens. I can also increase the feather because we're kind of looking past this foreground. You see how it's a little blurry already because it's in the foreground? And I'm going to draw my edge because this was just a rough cut before. So now with, let's do a 3 pixel feather with my lasso. I'm just going to draw along the rocks. And it's okay if I cut out my own rocks. They are organic. They will forgive me. This is a lot harder with man-made structures. And I can do it in chunks, like so. And then delete, delete, delete. That will help soften that edge. So it looks a lot more believable, like we're looking past these onto the middle ground behind it. I pick it up where I left it off. Cut out my rocks. I pick the edge. Someone's legs, gonna get rid of those. Do it in chunks. Come on. Delete, delete, delete. Moving on. And I'm almost to the edge here. Okay. You only have to worry about what's visible when everything's turned on. Okay, now, are those rocks good levels? Well, in order to tell that, I'm going to crop it a little bit closer. I'm actually going to find my edges, which my rocks kind of define. Turn off my guides. Oops, get off the crop tool. You can turn off your guides with Command semicolon. And you see how all the bright contrast is in the middle ground? That's the design. So you're looking past the foreground, even though there's a lot of detail, into the middle ground, and then beyond into the background. For my Mount Olympus, Olympus Heights, the Real Housewives of Olympus. This will be the opening drone shot. Okay, so the ones that need cleaning up, dodging and burning. I think this one needs some cleaning up. It's got a lot of debris on its edge. I think it needs some dodging and burning because it looks too bright. So I'm going to use my lasso. A little bit of debris is okay, but I have too much. Still have that 3-pixel feather. That helps clean it up. And then this is annoying, so I'm going to blend that. Using my 100% softer eraser, and then I can switch it to a lower opacity to help blend it. Look at the other edges. Where should my bottom edge go? I'll use my guide. Think about there. Or I'll be ambitious. Cut it there. And then I'll fill that in, and I'll show you how you can using the clone stamp tool. All right. And now just little touches with dodge and burn, and then I'm going to turn it in. And you should all remember we work on deadline style. It's not when it's perfect that we turn it in, it's when the deadline comes. Because we'll be able to go back and improve it. We actually, as part of the class, will need to go back and improve it for some different things we'll be doing with it. Just going to burn down this edge a little bit, and I'm going to color balance it, make it bluer, because that's what I did in front of it, especially in the shadows. All right. Yeah, not too bad. Okay. Let's see, maybe that Mount Olympus, the very back needs to be burned just a little bit. So it doesn't get lost. And let's play with this one. Save photo P because it's lagging on me, not always keeping up. I'm helping myself a little bit by not having a visible light source in the sky, like not having a sun in the sky, so that you can tell the light is raking light from off to the right based on the shadows. But you also have raking light off to the left based on the foreground shadows. So this might be like a 2-sun planet or something. As long as the eye can find foreground, middle ground, background, it's kind of cartoon lighting in physics. I'm going to find this one and then burn it in just a few areas. Because even though I want most of that definition in the middle ground, I can control it a little bit. All right. So I've got my dramatic Mount Olympus, but if you check your corners when you crop, I've got little areas that are not making sense. So I'm actually not even going to show you clone stamp yet. We'll learn that with the next project. What I'm going to show you is just internal compositing. It's very simple. You take a layer, you lasso something from that layer that's useful to you, like those trees, you duplicate it, and you move that where you need it. I'm going to move it up on top. and I